Pulmonary circulation. The main function of the right side of the heart is to pump deoxygenated blood, which is returned from the body to the lungs. This is known as pulmonary circulation. Systemic circulations. The role of the left side of the heart is to pump oxygenated blood, which is just returned from the lungs, to the rest of the body. This is known as systemic circulation. Myocardium. The muscle layer of the heart is termed the myocardium and is made up of cardiomyocytes. The myocardium is found in the walls of all four chambers of the heart, though it is thicker in the ventricles and thinner in the atria. Epicardium. The epicardium is the outermost layer of the heart. The epicardium is a layer of epithelial cells covering the surface of the heart. Endocardium. The endocardium is a thin, smooth tissue that makes up the lining of the chambers and valves of the heart. Arteries. The blood vessels that bring oxygen-rich blood from your heart to all of your body's cells. Arterioles. Small blood vessels that carry blood away from your heart. Capillaries. Capillaries are delicate blood vessels that exist throughout your body. They transport blood, nutrients, and oxygen to cells in your organs and body systems. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels in your vascular system. Veins. Veins are blood vessels located throughout your body that collect oxygen, pour blood, and return it to the heart. Venules. Venules are the smallest veins and receive blood from capillaries. SA node. The SA node is considered the pacemaker of the heart. Its electrical signals normally cause the atria of an adult's heart to contract at a rate of about 60 to 100 times a minute. AV node. The electrical signal that travels to the bottom of the atria and passes into another specialized region of tissue called the atrioventricular node. The atrioventricular bundle of His is a continuation of the specialized tissue of the AV node and serves to transmit the electrical impulse from the AV node to the Purkinje fibers of the ventricles. Purkinje fibers. Purkinje fibers are networks of fibers that receive conductive signals originating at the atrioventricular node, AVN, and simultaneously activate the left and right ventricles by directly stimulating the ventricular myocardium. Purkinje fibers are networks of fibers that receive conductive signals originating at the atrioventricular node, AVN, and simultaneously activate the left and right ventricles by directly stimulating the ventricular myocardium. Skeletal pump, a mechanism to assist blood flow in the lower extremities and the venous return to the heart, often involving muscle contractions. Occurs because of the one-way valves found within the veins. The only direction the blood can travel is back towards the heart. Thoracic pump, also known as a respiratory pump, it utilizes the pressure changes in thoracic cavity during respiration to assist venous return to the heart. Cardiac output, the volume of blood the heart pumps per minute. The total volume of blood pumped out of the left ventricle in 1 minute, measured in liters per minute, will approximately be 5 to 6 liters a minute. During heavy exercise, cardiac output can increase up to greater than 30 liters a minute. Stroke volume. The amount of blood ejected by the left ventricle in one contraction, the amount of blood that is ejected from the left ventricle in a single beat, measured in milliliters, and the diastolic volume, volume of blood that the left ventricle has just before the contraction, and systolic volume at the end of systole, just after contraction, the volume of blood remaining in the ventricle. SV, difference between the amount originally in the left ventricle and the amount remaining in the ventricle after contraction. SV equals EDV minus ESV. SV is stroke volume, EDV, and diastolic volume, ESV, and systolic volume. Systolic blood pressure. The pressure in the arteries when the heart beats, when the heart muscle contracts. Systolic blood pressure, pressure caused by the contraction of the heart. The recoil of the arteries causes systolic blood pressure. Diastolic blood pressure, the pressure in the arteries when the heart rests between beats. The lower number represents the lowest pressure in the artery, corresponds to ventricular diastole when the ventricle is filling, 80 mmHg. External respiration, the exchange of gases between the environment and the blood. Example, in the lungs. External respiration refers to the process that occurs within the lungs involving the exchange of O2 and CO2. Internal respiration, the exchange of gases between the blood and the body cells. Internal respiration refers to the exchange of gases at the tissue level, when O2 is delivered and CO2 is removed. Cellular respiration, the process by which cells use oxygen to produce energy from food such as glucose. Cellular respiration is a process in which the cells use O2 to generate energy through the different metabolic pathways found in the mitochondria of the cells. The conductive zone, the series of airways that carry air to the sites of gas exchange, including the nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and bronchioles. The conductive zone transports filtered air to the lungs, while the respiratory zone is where gas exchange occurs. The respiratory zone includes structures that are directly involved in gas exchange, such as the alveoli and the distal bronchial areas. The respiratory zone is composed of the respiratory bronchioles, alveolar ducts, and the alveolar sacs. VO2 max, the maximum rate of oxygen consumption measured during incremental exercise. It reflects the cardiorespiratory fitness of an individual. Oxygen consumption, VO2, the amount of O2 taken up and consumed by the body for metabolic processes. The greater the workload, the greater the VO2. 8.7, the integration of cardiovascular and respiratory functions. Maximal rate of oxygen consumption, VO2 max. VO2 max, the maximum volume of oxygen, O2 in. In milliliters that the human body can use in 1 minute per kilogram of body weight while breathing air at sea level. The maximum amount of O2 that can be taken in and used for the metabolic production of ATP during exercise.